Welcome, everybody, to Ice Cave Radio. I have no idea which episode it is. I can't remember. We're in the 80s somewhere, but it doesn't matter because Doa and Charmer are back with you now for a lot to talk about. We got some great Galactic Championship prizing revealed. We've got a new format revealed that we're going to talk about a little bit, and we're going to chat about a cave poll, and we've got some mailbag stuff. So it's going to be a very full show. But first of all, Charmer, how you doing?
I am tired. But that's because my sleep schedule is out of whack. Yes, it's as usual, but this week in general was really weird. This is the first week that my kids are on full summer vacation. Oh. So waking up in the morning to a full house that is not like preparing for their day, it's just me preparing for the day, has been a little bit weird. My wife works for our local elementary school, so she's technically also on summer break. So I've already got that throwing me off, and then I normally I'm in the office physically Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but this week it had to be Monday and Tuesday, so that threw me off. We had the holiday yesterday because we are recording this on a Friday, so yesterday was Juneteenth here in the States. It's a holiday, so I was off for that and then came back in for the random Friday. So the week is already weird, and then I am, as I was telling you before we started recording, I'm going to be on the broadcast for the Flesh and Blood German National Championship stream, but because of the time zone delay, I have to start that around 3 a.m. my time, so I was trying to sleep earlier so that I could record. So everything is out of whack, but it's all for good reasons. It's all for fun card game stuff, and that has me really excited. And if you are hanging on a thread because you did not look at the number in the thumbnail, this is episode 85.
Oh, there you go.
85, Doa.
85. We're only 15 episodes away from episode 100.
That's right.
Be great. We're gonna have a big celebration. There's gonna be a lot of things to celebrate in July too. And so let's take a look. We're gonna check out the Galactic Championship stuff, which will be available at the event in July in a little bit. But for now, we've got a cave poll. For once, I remembered to do it, and now we can talk about it. That's great. I think it's very relevant to our conversations recently. Oh, but before we get there too, I've got my planetary qualifier tomorrow, and I have selected. I feel like this is The Bachelor or something like that. I have selected Darth Vader Cunning as my deck list going into the PQ, and I feel like I can talk about this because by the time anyone watches it, I'll already be playing, and like I don't think anyone's going to be watching the episode during the PQ, so I don't need to worry about giving anything away. But famous last words, right? But I'm running 3 Millennium Falcon from set 1 in it because that comes into play ready. And one of Vader Cunning's biggest problems right now is that on your flip turn, people tend to just hyper focus on clearing your board, and they're like, all right, problem solved. Either he flips on the ground or, he just doesn't get to do the Vader thing, right? And so then all their resources are spent. They have no defenses. I play the Millennium Falcon for 5. I put Vader on it, make a couple tie tokens, and I swing for 8. And who cares if I have to pay 1 to keep him out the next turn? It doesn't matter because I get to swing for 8 again unless they deal with it, right? So this has won me a lot of games in testing, and I think it's pretty good, and I'm kind of surprised no one else has done it, so I'm going to try it. I'm not the best player in the world, so I could scrub out due to just not being as good as one should be at the game in general, but you know what? I'm going to try it. We'll see how we do well. I'm going to bring a trench deck to play in side events if I scrub out early, so either way, it's going to be a good time.
So I would just like to say I appreciate the blasphemy of making Vader pilot the Millennium Falcon.
I'll never see it coming.
But also, I don't think you should worry about giving away your hand anyway, because I think that you should just pull the full Larry Bird. Just tell your opponent exactly what you're going to do, and then do it anyway. Just say, look, I'm going to play the Millennium Falcon, and you're going to like it.
I'm going to play the Millennium Falcon and hit you for 8, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then see them be like, oh, what do I do? Do I remove all of his... Do I remove his 5 units that are already on the board? Do I just wait for this one? I just don't know anymore. But yeah, I'm telling you, Millennium Falcon in Vader Cunning, it is legit good. It's not a gimmick. It gives you gas into the matchups that are harder, and it helps you win faster in the matchups that you're already doing well in. So I think it's good. We'll see how it does. But that's my little PQ thing. Check back later for results. We'll see what happens. But for now, let's go to the cave poll. Here is our cave poll. I asked the question, who do you think is going to be the best premier leader in set 5? Because if, you know what we love really above all else is wild speculation here, right? So here are the votes. The votes are in. I'm going to just go down the list a little bit here. I can move it here. But Mother Talzin winning with 21% of the vote. And I'm not super surprised about that. She does seem to be kind of the leader that a lot of people are looking at. -1 is very powerful. She can get it quite easily, I feel like. But honestly, if you look at like the top 4, it's pretty even votes overall. I mean, Anakin's just 2 behind Mother Talzin, and then behind that, we've got the tie for Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon at 8 apiece. So, what do you think of this list? What do you think of the people's choices here?
I'm only surprised by Obi-Wan, not because I don't believe in him. During our last episode, I was talking about how I think that he has a lot of potential to be much better than I think my initial response to him was, and what I saw the internet's general initial response was. But that being said, like, he's a strong leader, so I'm actually kind of happy to see that more people are also on his bandwagon. But yeah, I'm not surprised by that. The only other, I think, real surprise for me is that the internet seems to still be really down on Darth Revan, and I think that he is worthy of a few more roses if we're going to continue our Bachelor analogy.
Wait, don't they give you the rose when you like get kicked off the show though? I've never watched it. I have no idea. I thought they did. I don't know what happens.
That means you go on to the next week. So
it does. Oh, okay. I don't know anything
what the
about
exact numbers are, but let's just say hypothetically, like there's 20 people. So like after week 1, he might have like 17 roses, and he gives out the ones. He gives a rose to the people he wants to stay.
Yeah.
Everything I know about the show, I know against my will because my wife was watching in the background. But
okay, sure. Just happened to see it in the background. I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, usually I'm doing other stuff, but we like to cohabitate space together.
Fair enough. It's generally what married people do.
Yeah,
it's understandable. I remember too. This is the question was, who is going to be the best leader in set 5? So what I'm a little bit surprised is that Cal Kestis got any votes at all. Like, really the best leader in set 5? I'm a little bit shocked there. I'm glad we got a vote for Kit Fisto there. Vote for Kylo, not super surprising. A lot of people have been talking about Kylo, so I was a little bit surprised he didn't get maybe another vote or two. But yeah, Revan not getting a lot of votes. I do think Third Sister is better than a lot of people think she is too, because I have a feeling Hidden is going to be strong. I think Kanan is, worth a couple votes too. Avar Kriss though, I just don't know. I mean, she could either be very strong or very not strong. It really all depends on the deck building and how often the combo can really be accomplished, right? Or the uses of the Force plus resources can get her out quickly. And even if she gets out quickly, I mean, rivals fall, right? I mean, so I don't know. I don't really know how strong Avar Kriss is going to be. That is a leader that I feel like might be rated a little bit higher than I would rate her, in that I would never, ever, ever pick her as the strongest leader for the set. Qui-Gon, though, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Mother Talzin, Kanan, all 5 of those, though, I would consider picking. Maybe Revan, although Revan and Kit Fisto, as much as I love those leaders, I'll still admit that I think they're more high A tier, according to what we did. Although Revan we put in S, so Revan's S. Low S, though. But there you go. And if you're curious,
I think Mother is the safest, just because obviously her ability is one of those ones that's just generically useful pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that people, when you look at her and you look at Obi-Wan, they're also kind of similar. It's just Obi-Wan's is permanent, but it also requires you to have something. The Mother does not, right? It just depends on your opponent having something. And if they don't have something, well, then you're already winning anyway. So who cares? But it is very telling that the 2 of the top 3 are ones that are just very like Swiss Army knife generically useful.
Well, so here's the thing. With as high as people are rating Mother Talzin, I'm a little bit surprised that not as many people are even giving Darth Maul a chance. Like, if we look at this, Darth Maul didn't get a single vote. And with Maul's ability to hit 2 different units, and there's a lot of times you want to hit your own units too, right? So, you run more of a control list with grit. You run green and you run super laser technician or something like that, right? There are plenty of reasons where you want to be able to hit your own stuff too. So I think people really aren't grasping the flexibility of Maul in that you have a great opportunity to either do 2 damage to 2 of their units, or like a damage to 1 of their units, a damage to 1 of your units when it behooves you, So I feel like he's underrated right now.
I hear what you're saying. I think that the big difference is that, one, a damage is not the same as -1/-1. So yes, the damage is going to stick around, but the -1/-1, as somebody who watched you play Jin and try to make her better than she seemed because of the value trades, the -1/-1 is just set 1 Jin on steroids, right? Because it can kill a unit outright, but it also can still enable those value trades as well by lowering the power on something.
That's true.
It can go through things that have 1 health but still have shields, right?
And it's blue really villainy, powerful. Which is just a straight up better aspect combination than.
And Jin. I was just about to say, and it's in the aspects that actually wants to do the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. So we'll see. I generally agree with the amount of votes everyone got, except for maybe Revan, and I think Maul maybe deserved like 1. But either way, I think it was an interesting cave poll. Just kind of a broad strokes look at who people are expecting to be strong coming into the next set, specifically being the strongest. And I like that it's not just clearly one leader. I like that there's a lot of debate, and I keep saying this about Star Wars Unlimited. I think this is one of the great things about the game, is that you can make so many legitimate arguments for different heroes or different leaders, different aspects, and really kind of follow that up with gameplay. So very, very cool. I think it's neat.
I just want to say I would have given Rey a rose. Ugh. I mean, not for best leader, but I still think that people are still way too down on her. So much so.
I agree. She's not bottom of the barrel at all.
When we start testing, spoiler alert, I have a Rey list that I want to throw at you.
Okay. So here's the thing. To me, I don't think her leader side ability is bad at all. I think her leader side ability is very mid-tier, high B, low A. I think the problem comes when she flips on 7 and her flip ability is one of the worst I think we've ever seen printed, if we're looking at it objectively, right? Where you may discard your hand if you do draw 2 cards. Like, her flip is worse than playing set 1 black 1. Like, it's just not a good ability. And it's strange. So I don't she's got big stats, but like, it's 6/8 is good, right? But like, flips on 7 and just basically does nothing on deploy. I don't know. Well, I don't think she's bottom. I think Grand Inquisitor is probably the objectively least strong leader in the set in Premiere, but I don't think Rey is really that great.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I have something I want to throw at you. Again, right. I don't know if I'm onto something, but I have some ideas. So the next time we test, we're going to leave this as a teaser, and if it ends up working out even halfway well,
sure,
I'll make a video on it. I'll promise that to folks. But
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that video. It's gonna be great, because the set's coming up soon. It's gonna be fun. Like just a couple weeks away from like some of the pre-releases and stuff. I'm hyped.
Yes. It's July 11th, I think, is the release, right?
Yeah, July. My pre-release is, I believe, going to be July 3rd. So
yeah, because that'd be the like week Thursday before or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a Thursday before it, because we always do our local nights on Thursdays at Lost Planet in Torrance, where I go play. Join us if you're in the area. But yeah, let's move on from the Cave Bowl to the Galactic Championship and all the great stuff you can get. So we'll start taking a look at the VIP package here. You get some really nice looking bases. I just think they crushed it with the art here. Just everything looks good. We're going to go through this kind of quick, because I don't want to spend too much time oohing and ahhing, right? Because these are all cards we've seen before. It's just really, really great art treatments, really great art. I think the Anakin's cool. I think, in fact, I kind of wish that was the Anakin showcase art, honestly. Now that I look at that.
Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation. But Executor looks great, rather. That Luke one looks great. Stop me if you want to talk about any of these in particular. I've always been a big Qui-Gon Jinn fan, so I really love the Qui-Gon art.
I like Qui-Gon, but for me, the Darth Maul, I think we've actually seen it in the past, and I had mentioned it because it's the saber like in motion. Yeah, it's just so good.
Yep. That one's good. I love the diptych with Darth Sidious and Darth Tyrannus. Has anyone said the word diptych before Star Wars Unlimited started making diptychs? Because we've all heard triptych, right? That's really popular in Renaissance art and things like that. But I feel like I've heard the word diptych just like zoom up in popularity in the last couple of weeks in our Discord. It's just kind of a funny word to say too. Diptych. It just sounds funny.
Yeah.
Diptych.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Diptych. Anyway, it's a nice diptych. What can I say? Moving on to the day one buy. Those were the silver and black packs, by the way, that we were looking at. The day one buy, if you have won a PQ, etc., you get the nice Obi-Wan mat, you get the sleeves, and you get a really cool deck box, actually. I like the stitching, and it's white on the inside, so that's cool. Excuse me. I want to get my hands on one of those. Pins, if you're into pins, it's lots of pins of all the starter leaders. It's kind of cool. And prize wall game mats. Those are two great diptychs in one set of playmats. I really like. I'm not a big Asajj Ventress fan like you are, but I gotta say the Asajj Quinlan art just looks really cool.
It really does.
I love that piece of art. I think that's one of the best pieces of art we've seen in Star Wars Unlimited.
Well, I think I know what I'm targeting on the prize wall. Same,
because the thing is, if I keep playing my Kit Fisto list that runs both of them, very relevant. Moving on to more playmats, the Mortis Gods playmat looks really great. That one's cool. Although I'm not like I watched like Clone Wars a little bit, but I'm not into Clone Wars, and I'm not into the sequels either, so I could kind of take it or leave it with these ones. But two neat pieces of art, for sure. And moving on to the cards, another nice diptych with Rey and Kylo there. Razor Crest. I love the Super Laser Blast. It's a lot of action.
The Super Laser Blast looks great too.
Yeah, that one in particular stood out to me. And then moving on to another Chewbacca. I mean, it's not exactly a dynamic Chewbacca pose really, but it's bottom lit Chewbacca, so he looks creepier than ever.
He does look like he's telling ghost stories.
I was gonna, all right, and attached to the shuttle bay door was a hook. Is what he's saying right there.
I really like the mace and the shin here, though. Personally,
same, yeah. Yeah, I like action poses. I think we have too many cards in this game where the art is just them standing there, right? I think the Anakin showcase that we got revealed is a great example of that, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I realize it's Anakin when he's being kind of tempted, and that's kind of the theme behind the card, but I want more dynamic art from the art, And I feel like the mace and the shin definitely do that.
Well, it's even just beyond like action poses, because these have dimensionality to it too, right? The fact that both the mace and the shin kind of overlay the nameplates, right? Mm-hmm. And that you've got the blaster fire, either coming in towards shin or kind of out in away from mace, and you got the one that's going through his cloak. Like everything about those just really jumps off the page, or in this case, off the card.
Yeah, I do think the quality of art is overall stepped up for these. And then we have the silver packs. We already went over a little bit of this.
This is worth mentioning, though.
Yeah.
Vader. Because it's got the Vader. So this image, coming from the stream, and I saw some folks were joking about it or whatever, but if you've only seen the image floating around, yes, the Darth Vader has the wrong health on it. They're aware. The actual card itself will be correct. This was just for the asset they used on the stream. Mm-hmm. So he is not a 5/7, and there won't be 5/7 ones floating around. According to them, it is fixed.
I really like the Ezra Bridger art.
I do too.
Again, cool piece of action there. Moving on, more silver pack things. We've got some decent art there. Sure, yeah. And then
I was just gonna say the only one that jumped out to me on this one a lot was the Inquisitor, just because I've said it before, so I'll say it again. I am a sucker for any time you have the glow of the lightsabers as part of the lighting, right? So the fact that it's illuminating his face red on the one half, I'm a sucker for that.
That's cool. We got the 2 cards, the Asajj and the Quinlan, looking good. The Boba Fett looks really good. Ahsoka Tano looks good, but I always feel like the cartoony ones, I don't know. I'm such a fan of more realistically rendered stuff, you know? So like the Ahsoka one is good in a comic book kind of way, but I want like the realistic looking stuff, you know? So the Boba, the Asajj, the Quinlan, love that. And then those are some of the Black Pack ones. So I think we looked at the Black Pack ones earlier. It looks like it's kind of out of order on my thing. Token units. As a Vader player, I'd really like a lot of those TIE fighters. As a Wat Tambor player, I'd really like a lot of those battle droids. So I'm going to be trying to get, you know, maybe 5 or 6 of each of those. Oops. Oh, there. All right. These, though, oh my goodness. The top 64 lightsabers, these are just fantastic. These are just great. Moving on to the other 3. And it's just great. I don't know, just having the lightsaber there, very simple. The blade is on. Just the arrangement of the elements on the card. It just looks so good. Love it.
Yeah, it's just so simple, but it's everything you need, right? It's the hilt and the glow.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the corrupted saber made me sneeze.
There you go.
It's corrupted.
But that's it. There was more prizing, but that's kind of the main stuff I wanted to hit. Either way, there's a lot of really, really nice looking stuff there. And so a lot to look forward to. If you are going and playing, good luck in getting some of that. I know I'm going to try my best to grab some of the prize wall stuff and see what I can do. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. I can't wait. We're only like just over a month away now. It's the 20th, and and that event starts, 25th of July, right?
Yep. 25th through the 27th.
That's right. All right.
Not that I've been counting down every day.
Seriously, right?
Since it was announced.
We've been looking forward to this for a long time. It's only year 1. I'm hyped. All right, let's take a look at the new format that has been announced. It is called, as you can see, it's called Trilogy. Basically, I was
gonna say your article looks different from.
Does it?
From mine.
Oh.
Well, it's just more compressed, I guess.
Oh, it's because it's on.
I'm looking at yours.
I've got it on my vertical monitor. That's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, man,
because I wanted to fit in here. But the idea of the format is that you build 3 decks. Each deck must have a different leader and a different base. And then you can only, and otherwise it is eternal rule set. So any card from the game is legal. So Boba 1, Django, whatever. But what keeps people from being like, well, I'm just going to build Sabine ECL, Boba, Boba and Django, right? Is that you can only include 3 of a card across your 3 decks. Normally, you can have 3 of within one deck, right? This is if you want to have, 3 overwhelming barrages, you can have either 3 in one deck or 2 in one or 1 in 1 in 1. So that really makes you get, I think, a lot more creative in the deck building thing. But the way the format is played also adds kind of an element of strategies to this too. So you've got the deck building side, but then match-wise, you present your 3 decks. Each player bans one of the decks on the other side. So one of your decks just will be tossed out right away. And then you have to win with both of your decks to win the match, right? So you play a match, you play a game. Whoever wins, that deck is retired essentially. And then the loser can either play the same deck they played or switch to the other deck. Either way, you have to win with both decks to win the match. This is very similar to a format we used to use in Hearthstone called Conquest, where you would bring 3 different decks and you had to win with each deck. So when you won a game, that deck was retired and you had to use one of the other 2. And then whoever won a game with all 3 of their decks first won. So it's a really fun way to play card games. I really, really like this just in general. It worked great in Hearthstone, and I like the tweak to it that you can only have 3 of a card across all 3 decks total. That's going to keep it very fresh and keep some things that were a little bit overpowered from being as overpowered if you can't put 3 triple dark raids in every deck, right? So I think it could be really interesting. I'm excited to build some decks and try it out. What do you think?
I really like this. You mentioned Hearthstone. That's one of the places that I know it from. I also know it from Legends over in Terra. Their large tournaments also did this kind of conquest plus ban format. But what I really like when I was going through the article, one, I was already a big fan of, you can only have 3 copies of a card across all 3 decks, just because that forces a bit more of a deck building puzzle.
Right.
But I like that from a design perspective, they also took into account player experience a bit, because they very specifically called out they didn't want people to have to change the way they collect or interact with the game. Right. So most people, when you are playing this game, you get your play set of cards, and then if you have extras, you can trade them and so forth. And obviously, if, let's just say hypothetically, the Trilogy format really takes off in the future, they don't want folks to have to need, 9 copies of cards all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, now
right?
I
That's
need
not good for
9
everybody.
Vigilance or 9 Overwhelming Barrage. Yeah.
9 Lukes, 9 Vaders. Exactly. So I also just really appreciated that they factored that into the player experience.
Yeah, I really appreciate that as well. I think it's a well-designed format. I think it's going to be really fun. No doubt, I'm going to be trying to set up some matches with some of the people on our server to get record on webcam so we can get that up on the channel. I think you and I should build some decks and try it out. I already asked my local store if we could have a night for this before the Galactic Championship, because it is going to be one of the formats going on for side events. So I think it's great. I'm excited to see new formats coming in. I'm actually working on a format myself that I think could be really, really fun. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but once it's done, you'll find out.
All right. Well, I'll give up the ghost on my end. I've been slowly working through. I mean, a lot of it's already set in stone. There's just a couple of things that work differently in this game, but I've said it before. I am a huge fan of the Emperor multiplayer format from Magic the Gathering, right? So if you're not familiar, it's a 3v3. Each team has, an Emperor where they sit in the center across from each other, and then you have your 2 guards, 2 knights. I've heard it called a bunch of different things.
Right.
On each side, and then you play multiplayer, and you win when you eliminate the opposing Emperor, right? So attacks can go 1 space. Events in Magic, it was spells, so in this game it would be events can go 2. If the Emperor plays units, then on their turn they can take actions to move them to the flanks and so forth. So that's something I've been working on for a bit. A lot of it is really just trying to figure out how you pace through some of the things that are not one-to-one transfers from Magic to this game, but given the fact that Emperor Palpatine is like literally an iconic part of Star Wars, it's just been on my mind since day one, where I was like, I need an Emperor format so that we can do the thematic, like literal put an Emperor and Vader on one side and Tarkin on the other, or Maul on the other, or whatever.
That was really fun to play in Magic back in the day. Like we're talking like 20 years ago now. I played a lot of that in college. So yeah, that was it'd be fun to see something like that come to Star Wars. Mine's a little bit different. It's a 1v1 format, but we'll talk about it later. I'm working on it. I'll reveal it soon. We'll have to play some test games. I've got a plan. But anyway, yeah, I think it's just I think it's great. I think Star Wars Unlimited is a game that's kind of ripe for new formats, and I just would encourage everybody out there, if they think of a fun way to play this game that's outside the normal rules, just develop it. Work on your own rule set. Play with your friends. Once you've got it polished, let the world know. Because right now, Commander in Magic the Gathering is like the most played format. It is like the primary way most people interact with the game of Magic the Gathering. And that started as a fan format. That wasn't invented by, Wizards or Hasbro or whatever. Like that was invented by players, right? And it just got popular enough that it started getting official support. So you never know. You could be inventing a format that becomes the primary way to play the game down the road. Not saying that, this game needs a different format, but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of value in community-made formats in TCGs, I think.
I have to catch myself every time I talk about Commander to say the word Commander, because I just want to say EDH.
Yeah,
because to me, it'll always be Elder Dragon Highlander format.
Yep.
And I'll stand on that. But
yeah, well, I mean, there was a time when you didn't have a commander; you just had a 100-card singleton deck, and then the having a commander came a little bit later, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it used to be So the reason that it started with like literally Elder Dragon Highlander was the rule used to be that you didn't have like a commander. It just had to be in your deck, but you would choose one of the Elder Dragon legends from the Legends set,
right?
One of the very, very early Magic sets. And then you just built your deck around that, right? So, yeah, that's how I remember it. And that's why I always think of EDH. And then I have to stop myself and go, no, it's commander. Has been for like a decade, Darick. You're just old.
That is true. I've been playing Magic for, I guess, 30 years now, because I started playing in 95.
Yeah, I started in 94.
Yeah. Wow. I was like 11. Yeah. So, but which is, again, this is one of the things I love about Star Wars Limited. I keep going back to this, is that this is finally a TCG where I go to my locals and I go to some of these bigger events and I see people playing that were the age I was when I started playing card games. Like, card games got to be for a while where it was just kind of like, more middle-aged person thing, like, or post-college thing, whereas a lot of us had that nostalgia for card games we played as kids, and so we're playing these other card games. But like now, this is one of the games that's really kind of bringing in new players at an accessible level too. Like, don't get me started on Pokemon right now. I mean, I feel so bad that the scalpers and the streamers and all that stuff out there are buying up all the product and driving up the price of this game to the point where like the target market can't afford to play it. Like, that's terrible, right? So yeah. I like that this game has a financial accessibility level that still welcomes young players, again, that were like the age I was when I started playing card games. Because, I mean, we want more generations of card game players to come up, right? And, this is one of the ways it happens. So I think it's great. Yeah. My 2-year-old just walked in. Hopefully she'll be playing card games in a few years with me. But yeah, any more to add for the Trilogy format?
I don't think so.
All right.
I mean, I'm really just excited. I look forward to. I kind of really hope the format takes off, because I look forward to some of the shenanigans. As somebody who covered a lot of like the Legends of Runeterra, which specifically with the ban part really throws things for a loop, because you could have two very, traditionally in the meta, right? Two very similar decks that you present to your opponent, and then they have to pick which one to ban. And one of them might have like actually all the good cards in it, and one of them might be what's called ban bait, where you're just like, that's the one. So like you could present, Boba, right, from set 1, and if a bunch of people ban it, but you were never intending to play it or whatever anyway, you could take the cards that you would have put in that and put in other decks.
Sabine ECL, but it's all secretly filled with vulture droids.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to how that, gameplay and how that meta evolves over time.
I agree. I think that'll be a really fun aspect of it too. I'm looking forward to playing some of it. I have no idea what leaders I'm going to pick. I got to figure that out. But yeah, we've got time, Charmer, for some mailbag questions. You want to move on to the mailbag? Yes, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. By the way, that Darth Revan showcase, holy cow, I need it. But let's first talk about going to where the last ones were. Here's an interesting one. What are some bad leaders that with one tweak or future card support could see more competitive play? From Oddball.
That is a great question. Now the scoundrel in me wants to say the same usual suspects, right? Because I feel like every set we say like Sith Inquisitor from set 1, right? Like, and it keeps getting support, and then it keeps like not showing up. So
I think it's gonna be good enough to warrant a play in set 5. It's already a decent deck. People just don't play anymore.
Certainly looking better. I don't know exactly how playable it will be, and it's definitely getting some additional support in this next set as well, but I still think that the bones of the Captain Phasma leader are good. It's just that when Captain Phasma was released, we had a very limited first order card pool.
Yeah.
So as we get more quality first order units, I think that she actually could certainly rise in playability and popularity.
I put Holdo in that category too. I think Holdo, just because her ability costs nothing, you know, and do the +1/+1. That's pretty solid. Oh, my bad. It does cost 1, but I by the same token, I think Holdo could benefit from that too.
Yeah.
But what else?
So
I'm
the other
trying to
one,
look at. Yeah, I'm looking at leaders. What would you change to make it better?
oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't usually spend a lot of like mental thought process on changing certain leaders just because I hate errata. Kind of as a rule. I think that as much as possible, the cards should do what they say on the card because it makes the smoothest. Like,
I'm not talking about errating. We're just talking about
new
theory
player
crafting here. Yeah.
Yeah. But like theory crafting, things like that. I also think, I still think that the set 3 Ahsoka leader is not nearly as bad as everyone thinks personally.
Yeah,
a lot of people like to point at the coordinate and say like, you know, it's too hard to pull off. But then I see coordinate like pulled off, you know, whether it's intentional or by accident, seemingly pretty regularly when I watch coverage, right? Like the number of times I've seen Plo Koon come in for the full amount, or I've seen people draw off, you know, Mr. Mundy, for example. Yeah. So it's not impossible. So I think that, again, I think what hurts her is that she wants to be an aggressive leader. And usually when you're playing an aggressive deck, your opponents are actively trying to get rid of your units, and that makes it harder. But if we just got like a couple more units that did the, like when they play, you know, it plays 2 of them sort of thing, like Batch Brothers, for example, I think that she would be a lot more viable.
I mean, right now, you know, Vader Cunning runs Sanctioner Shuttle, which relies on coordinate, and just because of the token generation, you just always have it.
Oh.
Yeah. So there is that. I don't really have anything off the top of my head that I would change per se, you know. I think the question is kind of, you know, what looking at some of the leaders that are considered bad, you know, what one little tweak could make them good, you know. And I think the problem is when you look at a lot of leaders that people say are bad, quote unquote, like for instance, look at Rose Tico. Action, heal 2 damage from a vehicle unit that attacked this phase. A lot of people would say, well, just take away the attack this phase. Or, you know, for instance, Vader 4, right? Vader command, the TIE Fighter Vader. Say, because right now it says if you've attacked with a non-token vehicle, you know, we'll just make it, you know, vehicle unit, you know. Then that one little tweak suddenly makes them probably way too strong, right? Vader being able to make more tokens from his tokens would be way too strong. There'd just be no stopping him, right? Rose being able to heal a vehicle, you know, that didn't have to attack too. You could play a lot of vehicles, you know, something that damages itself and then you just heal it up right away. It gives you too much flexibility. So I think when you have a game that relies on leader cards with this, it's very, very easy to make cards too strong. And so I'm happier seeing the game as a whole have a leader be fun to play and maybe not meta breaking than just super, super strong, right? And so
yeah, I do think that, you know, the crux of what you're getting at is that when you're designing, the place to be the most conservative, even though you want them to be attractive because you want people to choose them, the place to be the most conservative realistically is with leaders, because they're in every game, right? You're never going to not draw your leader. So you can't bank on like, okay, well, this is, you know, maybe a swingy card if they've drawn, you know, 2 or 3 of them in a game or blah, 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 right? Like the leaders are always there. Yeah. And so we saw that with set 1 Boba, right? If a leader is overtuned, it's just straight up a problem all of the time. So I'm with you. And I do, you know, when I look at leaders that people say are, you know, quote unquote bad, I look around and I say, well, a lot of them are probably like this because they were a different way during testing and then had to be tweaked down. And so like this is, you know, this is just that threshold. It's either that they were overtuned or they're the way they are now, right? The Rose one, I think, is a great example. I think it probably at some point, like if a vehicle attacked this turn, heal up to 2 from any vehicle unit, but that's probably too much because you could suicide ambush one vehicle and then heal up your big other one or whatever. And yeah, so I'm okay with it. I don't think that I would tweak much with many of the leaders, but I also have not spent much time thinking about it. I usually just think about like, what would I want to make this leader more playable to be released, right? So I think of like Kylo. I think at some point, as weird as it sounds, right? If they gave us like a 1/1 unit that costed 1 and the text just said, you know, action, pay 1 while this is in your discard pile to return to the hand. So that Kylo now theoretically has a different way to build him where like you can, it's like paying 1 to get his ability where you're just discarding the same one over and over again and returning it. I think that something like that would open him up. But you don't, but again, like it'd be a 1/1 for 1 because that's way understated for you to be running it in your deck. So it's the risk reward, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think there's little tweaks you can make for sure. But again, like a lot of those, you'd really run the risk of making something too strong. So, and also with 18 leaders in every set, which is crazy. I can't believe we have I realize I want to give you 1 from heroism and 1 from villainy for each aspect. And so, you know, or it's kind of like 2 from each. I think there's like, I would actually be okay with them cutting the number of leaders in each set. Because then you could make the leaders more, I think, universally stronger. Because with 18 leaders in each set, you always are going to have a couple that just are never going to be played. And I think there's the bigger challenge where, as a player, nobody has time to play all the leaders they want to play in this game, you know, unless like you just play Star Wars Unlimited full time, which sounds great, but most people, you know, can't do that. So I would be curious about what that would be like, right? You know, maybe you lose a little bit of hype, maybe you lose a little bit of like choice, but I wouldn't mind seeing the amount of leaders go down to like 1 per aspect, you know, 1 per villainy, 1 per heroism. So we'll see. I feel like I just don't. 18 is a lot. I don't know, but that's the other thing I kind of thought about. So, are we going to have a point where we see the leader numbers kind of pared down?
I could see that in the future. We kind of are getting a potential taste of the future with Anakin and Darth Revan in this set, right? Where we're getting the just heroism and just villainy, because
that's on the table now, I guess.
You know, one of the reasons that we have so many leaders to begin with is because they traditionally, I think, want you to have some choice during the draft process, right? If you just had 1 of each pairing, then when you go to draft and you're like, hey, I want to play heroism, vigilance, then there's just the 1 leader for that, right? So you don't get a lot of diversity. But if we've got more leaders that are single aspect, right, then you could do 1 of each, and then you could also, you know, have a couple of single aspect leaders in one direction or the other, and still pare it down, but still offer that choice. But I do think that a big reason that we've had so many leaders per set is honestly the limited experience. And as somebody who loves to play draft, like it's made me happy.
Yeah, I think that's a legit reason. I just kind of feel bad for them. They have to design all these leaders. That's a huge job. Like 18 leaders per set. That's crazy. But so, you know, props to them again for being able to actually like pull it off. That's kind of amazing.
Well, and again, now that we know rotation is going to be a thing in the future, and we know that they are not like against reprint stuff, I wonder if we will get some leaders reprinted in the future.
That's a good point.
If they are, I wonder like then how they'll treat the showcases. Like, will they have an alternate art or whatever? But that is also something that would be potentially feasible.
Yeah, that's a good point. I had not thought of that, but yeah, that's true. We could see leader reprints at some point. That'd feel a little bit, I mean, unless it was a leader everybody really loved, that'd feel a little bit lackluster, but I think it's definitely something they should keep in mind as we go through rotations and all that. But let's move on. Another question from Grand Moff Guilty says, in the opinion of our esteemed hosts, I think he means us, if you added draw a card to the text of cards like Sneak Attack, NTATOT, which one's that? And they hate that ship. Which one's NTATOT? Now that's what I call Jats music. I know it's not that.
Now there are 2 of them.
Oh, now there are 2 of them. Yeah, you're right. Would they see significantly more play? Yeah, I think they would, but I also think that's a situation where, again, they could get pretty OP pretty quick. Drawing a card is a big deal in this game. It's a real big deal. Yeah. So, yeah, if you got to draw a card off those, card
on a Sneak Attack would be insane. Like,
yeah. And all of those, I think, first of all, I think all those cards are good enough. And the thing, we know Sneak Attack saw a lot of play in certain decks already, so I wouldn't be surprised if that comes back. That definitely does not need draw a card. Now there are two of them. That is a card that we see, here and there. And both, I would say, now there are two of them, and they hate that chip, are both cards that are underused right now, in my opinion. I think they're both very good, and they're kind of deck building puzzles. And for something like they hate that chip, people are just very afraid of giving their opponent units for good reason. But I think they're more afraid of that card specifically than they need to be. So I think those cards are actually better than people think they are. So I would not add draw a card to those as well. Like, usually see draw a card added to things where you might not get a lot of benefit out of losing the card. Like, for instance, Heroic Sacrifice, right? The unit is going to die, you get to draw a card, and that's an extremely good card, right? If it didn't have the draw card, people just wouldn't play it at all. So I think that's a situation where the draw card takes it from being unplayable to playable, right? Because otherwise you've got like Surprise Strike, which is +3, but the unit doesn't die. Well, for that, you obviously don't need to draw a card, right? So I think when they have added draw a card to things like that, it's because you're giving something up by playing it. You don't get you have to give something up. For instance, Eject is another example of this, right? Where Eject takes a pilot unit from a ship and puts it on the ground exhausted. So by playing it Eject, you don't immediately gain anything on board. You don't get to attack with the unit you get out of the ship. Your ship that you take it off of might die because it's lost X amount of health. So in that situation, they let you draw a card, and I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I will also go to bat for, like, now there are two of them, just because historically a lot of the like really good 5, 6, 7 cost units have been ones with traits that have been kind of hard to match. Not impossible, but force is a big one. Yeah. And we're going into a set where we have a lot of 2 and 3 cost force units. So if there was ever a time where that card might make a comeback, this might be it.
Oh yeah, I haven't even started really looking at all those options. I mean, just having like Gungi in the meta, this 2 cost, a bunch of 2 cost force things.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like before, it used to be so hard to, like, let's say you're on Villainy and you really are just, I want to play the 5 cost Darth Maul, right? What were your 2 cost options to pull that off in the past? Almost nothing. But now we get a 2 cost Kylo Ren. We get a bunch of the 2 cost Night Sister stuff. We get a whole bunch of stuff in Villainy now with Force where you can go up to those. I mean, you can play, I still stand by one of the really dangerous things. If somebody's playing like Cunning Vigilance and they can go into Mr. Mundy on turn 2, like, you don't get to draw a card off. Now there are 2 of them, but now you're saying to your opponent, you better be playing 1 card a turn or else I'm going to draw 2 additional cards anyway. And by the way, you got to deal with a 5/7. Like, that's kind of dumb. So I would wait till after this set before we really say like that card needs help.
It's interesting. There's not like a ton of 5 cost Jedi now that I look at it. Let's see. So I feel like they've kind of anticipated that a little bit, It's kind of interesting now that I look through the Legacy of the Force list. Huh. Interesting. So, I think a big one would be Asajj, where you have a Force unit out and then you use, now there are 2 of them, to grab an Asajj, and then she gives that first unit +2 attack. So you could potentially swing for like quite a bit on your second turn and establish a 5/6. That has a good on attack. So, that's a really good one.
I was trying to look at like what are the ones that just with the Force trait, right? So with the Force trait, we've got Plo Koon, Mr. Mundy, we've got that Darth Maul I mentioned, but we also have Darth Malak, we have Balin, the Asajj, the new Leia, Old Daka.
That's another reason for Darth Malak yellow. Although Darth Malak doesn't ready if your hero is in flip, so that's not quite as good. But but like Darth Tyrannus. Or another one, Sassy Teen, 5 cost, 4/6 Jedi Republic Force. When played, if you have the initiative, deal 1 damage to up to 3 units. That's super good to clear tokens and things.
If you want to go like one turn later, so again, obviously everybody wants to do the dream of like you have a turn 1 play and you go right into a huge thing. But if you're just patient and you're like, okay, let's wait until resource turn 4, right? So you got 2 turns to find your force unit.
Yeah.
Then you've got the new blue Darth Vader, the new Anakin Skywalker. You've got the new Mace Windu, the piloting Darth Vader, I guess technically is in there, but you'd never want to play him that way. But you've got Depa Balaba, right, which has ambush. It's a 5/7 with Saboteur. There's a lot there. Obi-Wan from set 1 even would be, I think, still a good play there. Yeah. So I think that again, if you're on a force heavy list, especially one that's running cunning, it might be worth it to take another look at that card.
Well, so a lot of times what you can do is if you run green yellow too. In fact, my trench list does this. Thank you, DJ Cielo, for hooking me up with his trench list. But that one, you play something on turn 1, turn 2 you resupply, then turn 3 you have 5 resources, and then you can use, now there are 2 of them, to play a 7-drop. So then, like, the Maul comes in on resource turn, essentially the 3rd turn, So you can do some wild stuff with green-yellow, and now there are 2 of them. So I think with the Force trait specifically, and then the other ones, Jedi, Knight, all that, Sith, there's going to be some really fun stuff. So you don't need to draw a card is where we're going with all that.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to draw a card with that. I think it's good enough. If you drew a card on top of all that, it'd be busted. So, yeah. But again, I would say this is a good time to think about putting some questions into the mailbag. We're going to try to do this every week again. Get back into this. We'll read your question on the show and shout you out. So thank you to Grand Moff Guilty for that last one, Oddball for the one we talked about first in the show. And I think that'll kind of wrap it up. I don't have a whole lot more to add. Any other final topics you want to cover before we close this one out?
I don't think so right now. I really, if anything, I'm waiting to get through this weekend, and then I guess my thing would be I will be looking to play webcam games in the near future. I don't know if that's a topic.
That's right.
But
well, hopefully we'll have more webcam nights on the Discord coming up here soon. But either way, there's so much deck building to do. There's so much testing to do. There's so much theory crafting to do. I can't wait. And there's still plenty of set 4 to play too. Set 4 is great. It's my favorite set we've ever had in the game. I love all the pilot leaders. I've had so much fun with like Poe and Vader. And Boba Fett. It's been awesome. But yeah, I think that wraps up for this one. Thanks everybody for supporting the channel. Go join our Discord if you haven't done that already. There's merch as well. Go buy our merch. All the stuff supports the channel and gets us more ability to make more stuff, to bring more people into the fold to help make stuff too. So yeah, definitely all help is appreciated. And until next time, take it away, Charmer.
May the Force be with you.